Glad that you're here with us on the Morning Express. It's always a pleasure to host you and, just go through what we have with you on the day. A little bit later on, we've got the State of the Nation, and we want you to join us because we'd like to hear what you have to say as we check the pulse of our nation right here on the Morning Express. But for now, we'd like to start off with a press review. But before we do that, let me welcome George Orido, who's joined us now. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Today you're not in the orange. Last time you were in a very bright orange.
Yeah, but I'm happy I inspired your golden.
Yeah, don't get too excited about that. You didn't inspire anything.
How does orange inspire gold? How?
Yeah.
Some of these things just happen without you realizing.
No, we try to coordinate sometimes, so
Okay.
it's not inspiration
But
for
you
you.
look good.
We're in sync.
That is the most important
Okay.
thing.
Thank
you, George. Let's get to it. The Standard newspaper is leading with a crisis in Parliament as bribes rock committees. So Duale and the Speaker proposed creation of committee to rescue oversight role of National Assembly after graft claims undermine credibility of watchdog role. So we've been all about corruption as a country the past week, all conversations around just even the institutions that are supposed to be fighting this, ensuring that the government is kept in check and there are no loopholes.
Yeah. The shit has hit the fan. And
Well, we shall not use those kind of words on national television.
and the house is all smelling, the August house. I like the way KTN started off last evening by saying for 8 days they're going to give us bits and bits of what happened to 2.3 billion shillings. And it's now happening that even Agriculture Committee is faced with the same allegations of bribery. Of course, already we had the PSC chairman being accused and hitting back his own members. We're in dire straits when Mganga Hajigangi, the doctor who is supposed to be treating you is sick and nobody else is going to treat them. So I think we need prayers, big prayers. I don't know.
And a lot of action, really, because...
Action from where? Who's going to take the action?
Well, that's the thing, because I was just going to say that this is just a selection from the whole community. So is this just a reflection of who we are? So maybe but we can't accept that that's just the way it should be. There should be some quarters that come out and say, no, this cannot go on.
I don't think this is what we are. We're not all.
You don't think?
We are not all these.
But with all these committees,
I think we have a culture of corruption. It's slowly becoming that national culture it's acceptable.
Kenyans
Down at the household level as well.
Kenyans wake up very early in the morning to go to school.
And that's not in dispute. But corruption is deeply entrenched. It is.
Yeah, but I don't think this is a Kenyan culture. I think it is just about poor leadership that is not committed to eradicating.
But where is this leadership
That's what
coming
leadership
from?
come in when a cop stops you on the road and says, you're running late for your meeting and you give him some money to go. It's across the board, not to excuses. Of course, this now is major and grand, but bottom line, it's across the board.
But I wouldn't agree that Kenyans are corrupt. In any case, the monies that are being stolen are Kenyans' monies who have toiled and paid their taxes dutifully. And people towards elections, for example, drain the treasury because they don't believe they're going to win. They believe is going to win, so they're running away with the money.
It looks like this is a debate that we're going to have for a very, very long time, because we've had it for the last week and it's just not going down. Anyway,
but the Institute of the Certified Public Accountants of Kenya have suggested that they be involved in the investigation. So professional bodies like ISPAC
are coming in
or LSK to be called upon, because now the institutions that are supposed to be doing this are not able to
are not doing that.
And I think that's a good proposal.
Yes, that's a debate that we're going. That's a debate that we're going to carry on also on the State of the Nation this morning. So, do stay with us, and we'll hear what you have to say as well. Also on the front page of the Standard, we are still on the Standard. School ranking to resume after MPs pass motion, and of course, this is coming in the backdrop of CS Kaimenyi saying that he has removed school ranking because it's unfair, and you can't, bring in ranking when you have some schools which have very good facilities, others have very poor facilities. How do you balance it? So this debate again is back on the table.
Well, I think kudos to Kiminini MP. I believe that rankings must be back. you can't say today that you want to
You believe
tolerate...
that ranking must be banned?
Ranking should be back.
Back. Oh, okay.
They must be back.
Had banned.
You know, and the side effects were seen this year when people with A, students with A, could not get, admissions where they deserve. And you cannot run in modern world without competition. Everything we do is competition. If it's about markets, about performance in workplaces, if it's about even in families, people
Granted,
compete
but
to
the
make
challenges
best.
in education, of course, are more than just that. And in his argument, Kaimenyi said it was the same parliament, okay, the previous parliament, in a report that recommended that this burning of ranking takes place because of some of the challenges that are ongoing in the education sector. So he's saying they cannot then turn around and say that it should be returned. And Kuppet is actually backing the secretary's position.
Well, Kaimenyi's arguments don't wash because, first of all, he's saying his move was inspired by Parliament's decision to stop ranking. The same Parliament has decided now we're going back to ranking. So if he's following Parliament, it should follow Parliament on this as well, unless it's got personal objective that we not know. So if it's about following Parliament, he must follow Parliament now that has decided ranking must be back.
Okay.
And I'm very happy about that.
All right.
Finally.
Yes.
Well, moving on to page 8, and police reveal how Al-Shabaab men planned and executed Westgate attack. And this is on the day of the attack. Garar, a gentleman who is accused of being the mastermind, drove to Nairobi from Mandera and sneaked back into Somalia, where he was in constant communication with the attackers during the siege. Garar is a gentleman who was recently killed in a drone attack.
I don't know why I wasn't inspired by this story. And I suspected because the president promised to have an investigative body on Westgate. That has never been established up to now. So these piecemeal revelations by police that are not detailed, are not structured.
You don't
For
feel...
me, I don't feel it. This is one of some of the stories that I think are just out there to fill the pages, but do not have concrete, material to make us move forward. So the honor is on the president to put up that committee to investigate exactly what happened at Westgate. Then, on that note, I'll be ready to listen to that story and have a quality time to look at that story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, page 6, and there's an interesting picture there. Once bitten, twice shy. A Nakuru County Assembly orderly walks out of the chamber carrying handbags belonging to female MCAs. This is following the chaotic scene witnessed last week. No one was allowed into the chamber with handbags, lest there's a handbag attack.
Unless there's stones in there, because you could be carrying all kinds of paraphernalia.
Yeah, maybe Sophia, you should tell us what do you carry in your handbags that they would not have them come in.
I have a backpack for work.
Oh yes.
I think this is inspired by the Green Army, Gor Mahia guys who carry.
No, you cannot. I don't support them, but you cannot say that about them.
I'm a member of the support. I'm a supporter of Gor Mahia.
Yeah, but this is
and I think this is inspired. Carrying stones in decent bags, inspired from that end. But this picture is a very powerful picture, and I want to congratulate Boniface Thuku for just taking this photo. It's a beautiful photo.
It tells a story.
It tells in 1,000 words.
All right.
You
Finally,
can have so many interpretations.
Yeah, fever pitch. We need to quickly move on. Painful exit. So y'all are the sports peeps. Who is this that's painfully exiting? Is it Arsenal?
This is Arsenal's Alexis Sanchez.
I can tell you this is when you fire blanks. The Ghana's firing blank because you win a game and it has no meaning to you. So two goals
so
against.
So they won, but they're out of the league.
They're out of the Champions League. So what do you celebrate?
Arsenal.
It's a painful win. How can a win be painful? Oh, Arsenal.
Poor Arsenal.
And of course, the irony is
they remain the flower girls of both
is Ghana's firing blanks.
They remain
flower girls. They make the game look beautiful, but nothing to show.
Yeah,
for
they're
it.
never the bride.
They are never the bride nor the groom,
Nor
but
the groom.
always the flower girl.
Always the supporting crew.
Look beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sure Arsenal fans listening to this are like, what is wrong with these people? Daily Nation.
Leave us alone.
I know. Hope fades for poor patients at Kenyatta. So now that the only two overused cancer machines in the public health system have broken down, hundreds of patients who can't afford medical care in private hospitals have no access to radiotherapy in Kenya. Some can wait for a couple of weeks until the machines are repaired. For others, the solutions being offered will come too late. They'll already be dead.
This is a sad story. Today, I read this story. It was the saddest story of the day. Because cancer has become a major killer. And in this story, you can see in Nyanza, it is the leading cause of death. And so is in central Kenya.
Right.
None of this has this facility. And the few, the two that are in KNH are broken down. The capacity is about 8 to 10 patients a day. It does 100 per day. And we've been crying about this. The other day when Professor Nyong'o, then the medical minister,
Right,
was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And he said he's going to make measures to make sure that this kind of facilities are there. And it seemed nothing happened. We're in dire straits. Cancer is killing. And I think we need to invest. If it is true that Mutai Ringo took that 2.6 billion, they should bring it back. We invest in the machines for radiotherapy for cancer.
Yeah,
absolutely. And of course,
shocking
just
details of
was it yesterday that there was that report that came out that some of the equipment received by the government had some legal issues that was supposed to be distributed to different counties. The 38 million worth of equipment, health equipment, that was to be given to different counties.
Yeah.
So we hope that this can be sorted out, because evidently Kenyatta Hospital cannot.
It cannot be the only place.
It cannot be, and that's not right.
We're in dire straits. I think every county, every sub-county hospital needs to have a radiotherapy
Okay.
machine.
All right, moving on to page 6, where soul searching in JAP after Paul loss. Area MPs uneasy with the idea of campaigns being led by outsiders like Etere and Kamau. This is on
So
page
this
6.
organization is what the TNA chair is citing as part of what saw them lose the by-election.
Well, and we said it here earlier, that the way the government handled the Narok riots was a free ticket for the opposition to win the seat.
The riots or the nominations?
The riots.
The riots.
Earlier, when 2 Maasai youth were killed, when there were issues to do with the collections from the Mara
And the arrest of some of the
and
leaders.
the arrest of some of the leaders, in a very dramatic fashion. And for me, that's the real reason why they actually lost this election. These blame games about they were not organized and all that, it is all sideshows.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we have the TNA
Absolutely.
chair. He'll tell us why
they
he
even
thinks
tried
they
to
lost.
put a lot of money in it. On election day, 3 people were arrested from this, allegedly from JAP, dishing money. And they were saying, on the ground, they were saying, okay, we're going to eat from Mombasa. They were saying to going holiday in Mombasa. We're going to eat from Mombasa, but we're going to vote for the ODM candidate.
Okay.
Memesi.
The Star, meanwhile, is leading with Isaac Ruto to run for president in 2017 poll. And by the way, still on that page, he was talking about how embarrassing it was a loss for JAP in Kajiado, and saying that he hopes they've now learned a lesson from Kenyans. But yeah, this report saying that he's setting up a team to evaluate his bid for 2017. We know he has been a huge critic of the deputy president, the president, Jubilee, which he is a member of, UOP, one of the parties. So interesting to see that maybe perhaps all of that is to come down to 2017 and him being on the ballot.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think this is the biggest political story today, that Isaac Ruto is going to make 2 very important people uneasy, the deputy president and, of course, the Baringo senator, who what should be running for elections in 2017. And it's all
Well,
the,
for
the
Ruto, it's
geopolitics.
2022.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
waiting for.
Well, 2022. If you run for 2017, 2022 will be too late for you. With the geopolitics and the trouble, voting that Kenya is made of, and I think this is going to be worse. What I doubt whether he's got the money
Or to go for the
run
for president.
for full presidential ticket.
Mm.
I don't know whether he's made enough money for the time
for that. And of course, the picture on the front page of the Star is very interesting. I don't know if this is practice for
my.
Mr. President, for guard of honor. Although this is just a security firm, but maybe he's practicing how you
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's already showing a president. It's being presidential. That's
He's
what
being
I'm
presidential.
seeing
Yeah, you're seeing a president.
yeah. Well, he's a man who can is a mobilizer. Is a middle rounder. As much as he looks very
Mobilizer
abrasive.
how? Who has he mobilized?
can
Because the
laugh
governors have always been split. He's tried to even get the Jubilee ones on his side. Sometimes some will feel for, but at the end of the day, he never quite consolidates, the numbers.
Well, he's a Jubilee governor to begin with, and he works very well with the court as well. So he's a guy who can garner the numbers.
Well, let's wait.
Political divide.
Let's wait for
Wait and see.
2017. Politics in Kenya is very, very unpredictable, and come 1 year, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah, moving on to another story which is still on the front page of the Star. EACC could be disbanded. The life of the EACC hangs in the balance as the Ombudsman finalizes investigations into corruption claims against the commissioners. This would be an interesting twist to see the EACC actually disbanded at this point.
Well, I don't know of any report from the Ombudsman that has been really affected before. So this will be a first for the Bwana Otiende Amolo. If it happens, it will be good, made a good history, because honestly, EACC as it is today is not committed, does not have the teeth, and does not have the will to curb corruption.
Because this
sadly-
actually comes after, yesterday's report I was talking about, they've only prosecuted successfully 3 cases in 3 years.
Yeah.
And that just talks to and points at the inefficiencies, the lack of
performance. That report falls.
and their own
Right.
leadership wrangles,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
And
That's
sadly, it
absolutely-
actually is apparently it is a commission that is accused of pocketing the single biggest bribe ever of a staggering 2.6 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
The
hope
very,
you're
very
not going to leave the story of my former minister and
No,
MP
that is where we're
out.
wrapping up, yes.
And that is Grace Ogot. Yes. And it's the curtains have come down on a very illustrative leader, Grace Ogot, who died yesterday
Yeah.
after some illness. And I remember my first job after high school. I worked as a UT and trained teacher. That's what the UT is. And I taught in my village school called Sirembe. And the initiative was from Grace Ogot, then that every primary school in Game had to have a secondary school on the sides. And because it was constrained by teachers, some of us got opportunities to teach in those. So I taught in high school, teaching mathematics and physics. And most of my students were above my age, and we still pulled it through. And that was from her initiative. And for her writings, Land Without Thunder, Promised Land, she was illustrative, and she was a first in many areas.
Yeah, she was.
Definitely.
And she was always dignified. So I think this country has lost a role model,
An
a mother, an aunt, a sister.
Yes, at
And-
85, we must say that she
So
had a life well lived.
Yeah, very rich.
Very, very rich life, and may God rest her soul in peace. Our family, our prayers and thoughts are with the family. And as a country, of course, we come together in unity to mourn the death of somebody who is an icon, really.
Now, from Game, we believe in the living dead. So we don't believe she's finally dead. She'll be hovering over us.
She'll be watching over.
Watching over
Okay.
us. So maybe she be a good ancestor
She will be.
and prepare a good place for us when our time comes.
Amen. Before we go, I've just seen this right now. The Star is reporting on page 2 that Raila Odinga, the court leader, yesterday told NEC that he authorized Budalangi MP Ababu Namwamba to secretly record that meeting. But what's interesting, in a televised interview, was it on Tuesday, he said he actually knew about the recording after it had happened, that he okayed the presenting of it, making it public, but he did not know at the time that he was being recorded. So it's interesting that he is reported here as having told the NEC that he had okayed the recording in the first place. Because in the interview he said he did not even know it was being recorded.
Well, it was a misdemeanor to record your leader without him knowing and calling him His Excellency in the recording all the time. But I think Ababu must have persuaded His Excellency to understand why the recording was necessary and why it was necessary not to tell him. And maybe he was able to understand. That's why he accepted it. And of course, that explains all the personality of Raila Odinga, who's ever so forgiving.
Right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up right there on the press review. Thank you very much, George Orido, for helping us, sort of go into some of these stories and getting the background and just a feel of where they're coming from and possibly where we are headed. You wanted us to go back to the granny?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, yeah, although there is a very, I don't know what to say about
You
this
kind of
story.
get mixed emotions about this story. This is page 10 of the Standard. Where there's a granny who's 100 and jailed over land dispute. And, I was just thinking about corruption earlier on, and I was thinking, if you release, just by virtue of the fact that she's 100 years really going to jail, but then again, the law must take its course. So it's a very...
must.
Well, but they also say the law is an ass.
Don't use that
Okay,
word on the
I'm very-
show. What is, we need to clean up your mouth. This is television.
Because, there's a way the law is not sensitive to realities of life. 100-year granny, in jail. Look at her. Anyone would feel for this, and I would have expected.
And what still is that when the powerful people are implicated, the accusations on them, we never see them.
never see
yeah,
them.
so
Exactly.
it's when you see the
That is
smaller
a
people are
big
the ones,
And the granny has pleaded that according to the information she was getting from the science, she made every demand that was required of her. So I was hoping for the judge to look at that granny in the eye and say, okay, I'm going to jail the science, but I'm not going to jail this granny.
Yeah.
Because already that's when
Or give her a
punishment
warning
enough.
of some sort, but...
Okay, thank you. Let's end it there. Judge Orido on the press review. It is now 7:10 a.m. on this, what day is today?
Today's
19th day
Yes.
Yeah.
of March. Stay with us because when we return, State of the Nation is what we'll be all about, looking at some of those big stories we've been covering, hearing from our guests this morning.
Yes, we have a very able panel just to give us an outlook of the state of the nation. So please do not go away. Do keep it with us. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.